afternoon, students of Princeton Community Middle School. This is your principal, Dr. Mackzum, and I'm here to talk to you about next week's Ohio air test that we're going to be taking beginning Wednesday and Thursday of next week with language arts. We'll take our science test on April 16th, and then April 25th and 26th, we'll take our math test. But what I want to talk to you about, students, today is how you can put your best foot forward and make sure that you're doing the best that you can to show growth on these assessments and on these state tests. So number one, you want to make sure that you're getting a good night's sleep. You're making sure that you're eating a nutritious breakfast. You don't want to be up all night playing Fortnite or watching TV. You wouldn't. And remember, these air tests are like our Super Bowl of the school. So we really want to show our best and do our best foot forward that we can. So we want to make sure to be able to do that we're getting our post-air incentive sheet signed back from our parents. We want to make sure every student in the building is striving to have that incentive, because it's perfect attendance through testing, all your classwork, all your homework's turned in, there's no out-of-school suspensions, no after-school detentions, and no focus room, and you need to have this contract signed so you can make sure your parents, if you have that email, you can forward it to your parents, because we need that in tomorrow. But things that you can do to make sure that when you're doing your test, that you're doing your best. Number one, you need to make sure that the classroom environment is a good environment, that you're taking it seriously. You have to work on your reading stamina, where you're building up all your reading skills and getting through the tougher passages. You're making sure that when you do your reading, there could be two passages. You're going to have to read all this passage through. Number one, read the second one through. Make any notes on scrap paper, any keywords from the questions that are going to help you go back, because you're going to need to find evidence from that passage here, evidence from that passage here, and you're going to have to compare them. So you really have to make sure you know where to find your evidence for what you want to say. You want to make sure that you proofread what you write when you're doing the writing part. You want to make sure you go back and you look and make sure you have a thesis statement. A thesis statement is going to be in the writing prompt, so you need to make sure that you look at the writing prompt, you understand it, and you're responding to that when you write. Your teachers have been working with you on that throughout the year, and it's really a great time to show that as well. Cell phones, you want to make sure you don't have any cell phones. I highly encourage everyone, leave your cell phone at home on testing days so it doesn't become a distraction, because students, that can become a testing breach where we would have to invalidate your test and possibly other students' tests as well. Also, when you're doing your math, you want to make sure that all your work is on paper. You're working your questions out. You're making sure you show your work, so then that way, if you check your answer, you can go back to where you were at and see where you make your mistake. You want to check your answers using calculators when you're allowed to. You want to go back and make sure you double check it and making sure the equation, the answer that you found with your calculator is going to be the best one that you could pick. For multiple choice questions, you want to make sure you go through the multiple choice, eliminate the ones that you know aren't correct, then go back into the passage or go back to the information and find where you can get that specific information that you need. So you also want to anticipate sometimes the answers before you're actually looking at it, before you look at the choices. You read the question and you visually and in your head you go through it and you think to yourself that what you think the answer is before you look at the choices. That helps you internalize your answers a little bit better. So those are things that you want to make sure that you do. Cite your evidence. You got to use evidence from the selections and from the questions that show that you know your answer, and then edit, reread what you write. Make sure you read it to yourself out, in your head, because sometimes when you write things down, it can come across differently as you're writing it. So these are just some things that you can do as a student to make sure you put your best foot forward, because again, the last thing we want to do is students not taking this seriously, because this is our Super Bowl game where we get to show what you know. So growth from last year is important as well. So let's make sure we have a great day, and go Vikes.